Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've had a good week. I hope you'll have a wonderful Shabbos. We daven that the week ahead should be a good week for the entire Jewish people, especially everyone living in Israel, especially those defending the land of Israel. May Hashem protect the land, the people, the country of Israel, and the entire Jewish people. This Shabbos, this Erev Shabbos videos of our Torah is sponsored by Sandra Solomon Pilevsky in memory of her mother, Riva Bat Sheva Bat Aharon Basara, Zichrona Levracha, whose yard site is this Shabbos, the 8th of Iyar. Our neshama should have an aliyah, and we thank Sandy very much for the sponsorship. In this week's parsha, really the second of the two parshas, we have many fundamental mitzvos, including in the category of mitzvos ben adam l'chavera, how we are to treat other human beings and especially other Jews. And Perek Yotes Pasuk Tesayin reads, Pasuk Tesvav Lo Sasu Avel B'Mishpat. You may not perform an injustice, a corruption of the law. This mitzvah is speaking to the judges in a court. Lo sisa pnei dal, lo sedar pnei gadol. You cannot show favoritism to someone who is poor. You cannot show respect to someone who is great. You can't say, well, this person, if they lose the case, it's going to be extremely difficult for them. They don't have a lot of money. For the other person, it doesn't matter. Let's just rule in that favor, the favor of that person. You can't say, well, if this distinguished person will lose the case, it'll be embarrassing for him. Let's take that into consideration. No, b'tzedek tishpat amisecha. You must judge your people justly, with justice, fairly, objectively. And the judges cannot take into consideration all of those subjective matters. What does this last phrase, b'tzedek tishpat amisecha, teach? It seems to be repeating the same idea. The matter says, well, this teaches that you can't let one litigant speak for as much as they want and the other litigant have a limited time. You can't allow one litigant to sit down and force the other litigant to stand. Everything has to be fair, equal, objective, based on the facts of the case. Davar acher, or the matter says alternatively, this phrase teaches a totally different mitzvah. B'tzedek tishpat amisecha havidan is kol ha'adam l'kafsichos. This is the source of the mitzvah that outside of the context of court, when we interact with friends, with acquaintances, with strangers in the community, that we are to judge people favorably. We're trying to see things in the other person in a favorable light. And it's interesting because this is a reading that is almost diametrically opposed to the face value meaning of the pasuk. The pasuk, in its simple context, b'tzedek tishpat amisecha, means you just have to judge things black on white based on facts and the law. And you can't take into consideration the specific situation or people's feelings or more subjective qualities. And that is true in a court. The Chazal say the very same pasuk also teaches you that there's another way of judging. And when you judge people in regular life, you do think about all those other factors. It's not black and white, and you actually do lean to be favorable. What else can we learn from the fact that Chazal saw in the very same pasuk, the very same mitzvah, these two dual modes of judging? Perhaps we can learn the following lesson. When a judge judges in a court, he can't just make a decision immediately. He can't just follow what things seem. He has to be slow and deliberate. He has to think carefully. What can I take into account? What can I not? And he has to delve deep beneath the surface to get to the real truth of the matter. And that is not simple. That takes effort and thought and time. And similarly, the mitzvah, to judge people favorably in our general lives. Sometimes if something bad happens to us, someone insults us, there's a slight to our honor. Sometimes people think that judging favorably means to just discount it, to ignore it, to pretend it didn't happen, to overlook it. And that can be a positive way to deal with it, but that's not really judging favorably. To judge someone favorably means that even though they do something that hurts you or is upsetting to you, but to not react immediately, just like the judge in the court cannot react immediately, but to rather slowly think about it. Think about what I should take into consideration, what not. And to, with time and effort, with thoughtful focus, to be able to see it in a way that is more positive, more understandable, less hurting, to be able to see the situation or the event or the person on the other side in a positive light. And the point is that is a kind of judging that takes effort, that can't necessarily come quickly, but we are able to perhaps block out some factors that we can ignore, we can focus on others, and we can come to a more positive perspective on the entire situation and especially on the person that perhaps initially upset us. To judge someone favorably is not easy. That's exactly the point of this idea. It takes effort and focus and thought. But if we can even mitigate any kind of negative feelings, it is such an important accomplishment. It is such an important part of a positive Torah perspective that improves the world, that strengthens communities, that brings people together. And that is just one of the many important mitzvahs in this week's Parsha. But let's try to pick that one to focus on it a little bit this Shabbos, this coming week, to remember to judge people favorably, to try to work hard to judge people favorably. Everyone should have a good Shabbos and Shabbat Shalom.